The morning smelt of sea salt and pale storm clouds drifting in from Blackwater Bay, a scent that quickened Lord Eddard Stark's pulse the way a hunting horn once had in the wolf woods of Winterfell. He stood on the eastern battlement of Maegor's Holdfast, shadowed by a banner of the dire wolf rippling above him, and watched the tide lines creep up the mossy slips of the royal shipyards. Dawn light burnished every copper finial of the Red Keep, yet nothing within those walls felt gilded. Treason was iron cold, and Ned knew its chill too well. 2 days passed, beneath crackling torches in the silent crypt of the late hand, Jon Arryn. Ned had read the proof at last. A shard of milky parchment bearing Maester Pycelle's wax, a bloodline laid bare in black letters, and the terrible certainty that Robert's children were not Robert's. The dead hand's investigation left no room for doubt. Now the truth's hard edge pressed against him like needle at his ribs. He had offered mercy. Flee south, he had urged the Queen. She had smiled with ruby lips and spoken of another game entirely. Last night, word came that King Robert would ride at first light, lances and dogs in tow, to bring down a white-tusked boar rumored along the Mander. A royal hunt, careless and wine-soaked, arranged precisely when a kingdom teetered on the blade. But this morning was different. From the shadow of a Merlin stepped Lord Stannis Baratheon, face as stony as Dragonstone's basalt cliffs, jaw freshly shaven, eyes dark as midnight seas. No guards flanked him. He trusted none since fleeing the capital weeks earlier, yet he had answered Ned's raven with unexpected swiftness. Now he crossed the windy parapet like a man claiming a debt, cloak whipping against greaves of black-lacquered steel. "Lord Stark," Stannis said by way of greeting, "the dawn is keen. Let us hope our resolve is keener." Stannis's voice carried neither warmth nor spite, only iron. Ned inclined his head. "Your Grace." A muscle twitched beside Stannis's mouth. "Not yet. Soon enough if the realm desires a lawful king. But titles can wait until the throne is cleansed of bastardy and treason." They stepped together toward the descending stair that coiled down into the belly of the keep. Below, the courtyard already swarmed with gold cloaks drilling at spear rest, their orange mantles fluttering like dying embers. Jan Os Slint strutted before them barking cadence. The man's oily beard glistened. Ned suppressed a grimace. Too many of Robert's sworn remained blind to honor. But he and Stannis would not rely on the city watch today. In the shade of a stone arch, Ser Barristan Selmy awaited, silver hair a tattered pennon in the morning gust. He dipped his pale head. "Lord Stark, Lord Stannis."
"Ser Barristan," Ned answered.
"Have you chosen?" "I serve the realm," the old knight replied. "I will do what honor requires." Stannis's dark gaze lingered on Selmy's crimson cloak emblazoned with the crowned stag. "Then you shall ride at my side." Ned led them down another turn, past arched windows where light dazzled along dusty tapestries of Aegon's throne. The corridors hushed as word spread that the king's brother had returned. Some small folk stared wide-eyed. Others bowed clumsily. The Red Keep devoured rumor like a fire devours dry pine. They emerged onto the round hall before the Tower of the Hand, its marble floor veined like frozen milk. Lintel statues of the Seven glowered overhead. There stood Varys in lavender silks, fingertips touching in silent prayer. The eunuch's eyes glimmered. "Ah, my lords," Varys breathed. "You rise with the dawn. Is it to pay homage to the mother's gentle light, or perhaps to intercept whispers that flit through drowsy corridors?" Ned ignored the honeyed tongue. "Do the Lannisters know Lord Stannis has returned?" "They may suspect," Varys said, lips pursing. "Little birds sing conflicting tunes, I fear. But Queen Cersei remains in her chambers, and Prince Joffrey practices with crossbow in the yard, under Ser Meryn's proud eye." Stannis's jaw set. "The boy is no prince." "Indeed," crooned Varys. "But until the small council proclaims otherwise, Ned had no taste for riddles. "We move now." Steel shoes rang upon cobbles as they crossed the courtyard. A procession gathered behind them. Ser Barristan, Lord Renly fresh-faced and armored in green gold plate despite the dawn hour, a score of Baratheon household knights, and 20 northern men Ned trusted as he trusted dawn to follow night. Jory Castle, Hallis Malin, Fat Tom, and proud youths bearing dire wolf sigils. Beside the gatehouse stood Maester Pycelle, gray as old parchment, wringing his beard. "My lords," Pycelle quavered. "His Grace Robert remains Abed," Stannis finished. "He can slumber a while yet." Ned spoke low. "Maester, gather quills and the royal seal. When the hour comes, we shall need proclamations drafted. But speak of this to no one." Pycelle's rheumy eyes darted. "Aye, of course, Lord Hand." They strode beneath the milk snakes, 2 marble serpents entwined above the Queen's Gate, and into the half-lit keep proper. The plan was simple in its daring. Stannis and Ned would confront Cersei in her solar, present Jon Arryn's proofs, place her under arrest, and secure her children whilst the king still slumbered, wine-heavy and weary from the feast. By the time Robert reached the stables, it would be done. Renly pulled alongside, cheeks ruddy. "Brother, a word. I still say we should remove the children quietly, spare them the spectacle. If the realm sees blood, the realm has seen enough falsehood." Stannis cut him off. "Barristan, keep an eye upon Lord Renly if he wavers." Selmy inclined his helm. Renly flushed but fell silent. Past the Queen's ballroom, they climbed slender stairs sheathed in Myrish carpets. Ned's palm rested upon Ice's wolf-headed pommel. Tradition forbade greatswords inside royal chambers, but he would sooner surrender his own hand. Jory signaled forward scouts. At the top landing stood Ser Mandon Moore of the Kingsguard, moon-pale eyes flat as milk glass. His white armor gleamed faintly. Behind him, twin oak doors guarded the Queen's apartments. "My lords," Ser Mandon said, "the Queen is at her prayers. She is not to be disturbed." Stannis stepped close, voice low as thunder beneath a mountain. "I am Lord Stannis of House Baratheon, rightful heir to the Iron Throne."
Stand Azide.
Mandon's sword slid a whisper free. Her grace gave strict. Ser Barristan's blade intercepted with a clang that rang like a cracked bell, twisting Mandon's weapon from his grasp in a shimmer of dawnlight. The knight staggered. Selmy's white cloak billowed. "Yield," Barristan commanded. Mandon's eyes flicked from Selmy to Stannis's mailed fist, then to Ned's solemn grimace. He knelt, jaw clenched. Jory relieved him of sword and dagger. Hallis Malin pressed the doors. They groaned inward. Within, Queen Cersei stood before a sun-drenched latticework window, hair a river of gold cascading over an emerald gown. She turned, unstartled, as if she had awaited this play move for moons. In her hand shone a goblet of dark red. Behind her, Septa Mordane's slender form lay prone, bound and gagged upon the floorboards, eyes wide with terror. The Queen's smile was glacial. "My lords," she purred, "what a distinguished escort. Yet you greet me at dawn without invitation. How improper." Stannis strode to a side table cluttered with inkpots and scattered parchments. He upturned a velvet satchel. Rings, rubies, a small iron key, spilled across polished oak. Then he produced Jon Arryn's parchment, placing it before Cersei like a headsman laying out his tools. "By word and writ of the former hand," Stannis said, "we charge you with high treason against the realm. You shall stand trial." Cersei sipped wine. "Trial? Surely you jest, brother-in-law." Her green eyes flicked to Ned. "And Lord Stark, you break my heart. Did you not offer me safe passage just days ago?" "You refused mercy," Ned said. "I gave my word to the realm beyond any other." She laughed, brittle as thin ice. "Mercy? Oh, Eddard, you poor Northman. The game was lost the moment you conspired with this stone-faced skeleton. Do you think the small council will bend the knee to Stannis? Do you think the gold cloaks answer to the wolf?" "The City Watch answers to honor," Ned declared, though in truth he knew it answered to coin, and coin flowed from the lion's denver. But he would not barter courage for doubt. Cersei placed the goblet down with feline grace. "Tell me, Lord Stark, where are my children?" "In their rooms," Ned said tightly, "guarded for their own safety." "Safety," she echoed, voice lilting. So gallant. Then, sudden as a falcon stooping, her arm swept the table. Inkpots shattered, parchment flew, and with a crack a hidden crossbow, small enough for a boy, clattered into her hand. She loosed. The quarrel hissed past Stannis's ear, shattering a stained glass lantern. Splinters rained.
Ned lunged.
Jory tackled Cersei, wrenched the bow away. The queen struggled and spat curses until Jory's mailed gauntlet pinned her arms. Her cheeks flushed scarlet. "It appears," Stannis said, brushing glass from his cloak, "you forfeit grace." Cersei's laughter turned to a hiss. "You think you have one? My father sits at Casterly Rock with 80,000 swords. Jaime commands a host in the Riverlands. You!" Stannis slapped a pair of iron manacles upon her wrists. "They will march on traitors if they choose, and traitors' heads spurn the ground alike." Ned gestured to Jory. "Take her to the dungeons beneath the Tower of the Hand. Ser Barristan, escort Lady Sansa and Lady Arya to my chambers. See they come to no fear. Hallis, place guards on the princes. On the Lannister boys, harm none who surrender." Cersei was half-dragged, half-guided from the room. Her eyes blazed emerald fire. As the doors shut behind, her scream echoed like a breaking wheel. "Monsters! You spill your own king's blood this day." 2 levels below, the queen's tower stirred like a nest of hornets. Lords and ladies, rubbing sleep from jeweled eyes, emerged to find men in Baratheon black and stark gray posted at every corner. Tyrion Lannister, returned late by hellish roads from the Vale, limped into the gallery on bruised legs, clutching a raven feather cloak. His mismatched eyes narrowed at the commotion. "Treason before breakfast?" he quipped. "I should abstain from travel more often," Ned explained in few curt words. Tyrion's brow furrowed. "My sister a prisoner? The gods have curious humor." His expression shuddered. "I must see the king." "You shall when he wakes." Ned could spare no more words. Time ran like spilt sand. They descended through echoing passages until the small hall opened before them, its cedar rafters carved into snarling dragons. Within waited Lord Peter Baelish, mouthing a sardonic yawn, and Grand Maester Pycelle clutching sheaves of parchment. Renly paced, green cloak snapping. His eyes darted like sparrows caught in sleep. "The queen is under lock," Stannis announced. "The realm will now hear the truth." Pycelle's quill scratched across calfskin. "Sire, you require the king's seal too." "I require justice," Stannis growled. "Fetch the seal or I will chisel it from Robert's tomb when that boar finishes him." Ned stiffened. "Mind your tongue, Stannis. Robert lives for now. We will spare him this outrage if we may." Peter Baelish slipped between them, smiling as though at a private jest. "Mercy is admirable, my lords, though crowns seldom cling to heads so gentle. Might I offer humble advice? The gold cloaks outnumber your household men 10 to 1. Their loyalty rests with whoever pays, meaning the master of coin." He sketched a mocking bow. Stannis's hand fell to sword hilt, but Ned caught his arm. "Little finger, where do you stand?" "With the realm." Baelish's eyes glittered. "With the winning side, of course. Today that seems unclear. Gold wins wars, but honor may win hearts. I shall observe which prize proves dearer." He retreated like a cat from hounds. The sun lifted fully now, flooding the throne room with molten light through high windows of red and gold. The Iron Throne loomed above twisted swords, its barbs thirsty for king's flesh. Stannis mounted the dais, boots ringing. Ned remained a pace behind, the north wind beneath a granite cliff. They had summoned the small council, the great house's envoys, and the September's high septon. 200 souls filled the hall, anxious murmur swelling like a storm tide. Knights eyed one another over helms. Maesters whispered. Renly stood apart, arms folded, lips tight. Ser Barristan banged the butt of his sword upon the tiles. "By order of the Hand and the king's brother, stand silent." The echoes faded. Stannis's voice carried, harsh and clear. "Hear me, lords and ladies of Westeros. The line you have served is broken. Robert Baratheon sits the throne by right, But the woman who calls herself queen has lain with her brother Jaime Lannister and birthed false heirs. We have proof in the late hand's own hand. These children are bastards born of incest. Gasps rippled. Some faces blanched. Others folded into anger. Ser Adam Marbrand clutched his sword belt, knuckles pale. Cersei Lannister is confined, Stannis continued. She will answer to the king and the gods. As Robert's eldest brother, the throne passes to me upon his death. Until that hour, I serve as regent. Swear your swords anew, or stand aside. Lord Giles Rosby collapsed into a coughing fit. Lolly Stokeworth burst into tears. From the Lannister benches, Kevin Lannister rose, armor creaking. His eyes bore ancient grief. My daughter, my blood, stands accused, Kevin said. Yet my king's hand presents the charge, and my own honor demands justice. Show us the proof. His voice cracked like frost beneath weight. Ned nodded to Maester Pycelle. The parchment was read aloud, line by line, citing the lineage of Baratheon black hair, the absence thereof in Joffrey, Myrcella, Tommen. When the reading ended, silence reigned save for distant gulls. Kevin lowered his head. So it is true. He sank back, age 10 winters. Renly strode forward, golden rose pin glinting. My lords, he said, voice clear as summer rain. The realm bleeds already. Robert still draws breath. If he names his heir before the gods, peace may be kept. Stannis' scowl deepened, but Ned interjected. Let us bring Robert to the hall. He must see his council united. Yet before they could dispatch a page, thunderous doors crashed open. A roar preceded the entry of King Robert Baratheon himself, staggering, face pallid, tunic spattered crimson across the belly. 2 squires bore him on a litter, and at his side hobbled Lord Renford Estrin, cheeks clammy. Boar, Robert rasped. His eyes found Ned, wet with pain yet mirthful. The bastard gored me, bigger than Ares's paranoia. Wine, Ned, gods, I stink of guts. Ned rushed forward, heart lurching. A jagged tusk wound opened Robert's side like a second mouth. Blood sluiced from silk to stone. Grand Maester Pycelle shoved through, tearing strips of linen. Robert's gaze slid to Stannis. So the crab scuttles home, brother? Came to measure the crown? Stannis knelt. I came to guard it. Rest easy. Robert coughed, froth red. Rest?
Hilsno.
I'll hunt that tusker in the next life. Give me paper. I must name my heir before the stranger claims me. Ned produced parchment. His own, already penned in the dead of night naming Stannis heir, and placed quill within Robert's trembling grip. But Robert's blood-slicked hand slipped. Crimson marred the page. Read it, Robert wheezed. Pycelle read, I, Robert of House Baratheon, hereby command Eddard of House Stark to serve as Lord Regent and Protector of the realm until my son Joffrey comes of age. Gasps leapt across the hall. Stannis' face hardened to basalt. No son of yours sits upon that throne. Robert's eyes narrowed to slits. What's this? More of John Arryn's prattle. He seized Ned's sleeve. Tell me, old friend, has wine robbed me of wits, or do traitors steal my last breath? Ned's throat tightened. He thought of a snowy hill where he had sworn to shield Robert's secrets forever. Lyanna's whisper still echoing. Honor warred within him. At last he spoke. Your Grace, there is something you must know of Cersei, and of the children. His words fell like blades. Robert listened, skin gray, and when the tale was done his eyes broke like storm clouds in summer. Gods damn her! A racking cough bent him double. Blood spattered his beard. Take them, all of them, leave none. Ned, I could not keep her. Could not keep any of it. His head sagged against pillows soaked crimson. The hall shuddered in collective breath. Grand Maester Pycelle pressed a trembling hand upon the king's brow. His grace fades. Stannis rose, cloak swirling. Hear me. Robert Baratheon is gravely wounded and may not see dusk. He named Eddard Stark Protector, but his words of succession are void, for the children are bastards. As his elder brother, I assume the Regency until his passing, then the crown." Renly's sword hissed free. "And I, the younger brother, call that claim into question. The realm needs a king who inspires men, not one who browbeats them. Storm's end stands with me." Swords rasped everywhere. The Iron Throne seemed to leer, hungry. Ned thrust ice between warring siblings. "By the gods, hold! The king breathes yet. We will honor his last will. Shall we spill blood in front of his dying eyes?" Even Stannis faltered at that. Renly glared but sheathed white steel. Pycelle looked up, voice brittle. "I must move his grace to the maester's chambers if he is to live another hour." "Do so," Ned said. "Barristan, escort him. Ser Janos, command your watch to secure the city gates. None ride north or west until this council decrees." Slynt bowed low, yet his eyes slid to Littlefinger, who lingered at the fringe like a patient spider. Dusk draped the red keep in violet gloom when a bell tolled thrice. The long, low peal of passing. Robert Baratheon, first of his name, lay cold, Boar's tusk wound leaking last warmth into linen sheets. The realm was fatherless again. Ned stood beside the bier, hand upon the king's mailed gauntlet, heavy with memory of campaign laughter and shared cups. Stannis watched from the doorway, shadow-shrouded, arms folded. Across the hall, candle glow flickered on parchment as 6 lords bent over new writs. One proclaiming the illegitimacy of Joffrey, another affirming Stannis's claim, a third naming Ned Lord Protector until coronation. Seals melted under Pycelle's careful flame. Each wax pool hardened like cooling blood. Yet beyond those vellum decrees, Ned sensed tremors in the stone. Renly had vanished hours earlier, last seen riding for Highgarden with Ser Loras Tyrell and 50 retainers. And whispers said Lord Tywin's war host marched from Casterly Rock, banners aflame beneath harvest moon. As torches guttered, Ned felt Winterfell's snows brush his heart. The realm they sought to save had split along fault lines older than dragons. But he would not yield. He pictured Sansa's soft song, Arya's wild laughter, Bran's dreaming eyes. He pictured ice-rimmed godswoods, truths carved in weirwood bark. For them he would hold the line. He turned to Stannis. "We have arrested the queen, but the lion still roars. The small folk will starve if war comes. We must hold King's Landing, seat the rightful king, and call banners to defend peace." Stannis nodded once. "I will fight any lord who denies the law, but first we crown Justy." "Sir." They stepped together into the night air above the courtyard. Lightning flickered far out at sea, a pale seam between cloud layers, foretelling a storm yet unborn. Below, the red keep's torches glimmered like 1,000 fireflies trapped within ancient walls, and in their wavering glow marched men in wolf gray and stag black, shoulder to shoulder. Somewhere distant, a dire wolf howled, and from the ships in the bay horns answered with deep booming calls. The Game of Thrones had twisted anew, cold and sharp as dawn upon the wall. Yet for one fragile heartbeat, Ned Stark and Stannis Baratheon stood side by side upon a battlement, wind tugging their cloaks into one dark banner, as if the realm itself dared to believe unity might outlast the storm. And far below, in oubliettes damp with dragonfire memories, Cersei Lannister pressed her cheek to rusty iron bars, lips curved in a smile that held no fear, only calculation. Torchlight flickered in emerald eyes, and in that gleam lurked embers of chaos yet to rise. The raven that winged north from the rookery bore a raven-black scroll sealed with the dire wolf of Stark and the crowned stag of Baratheon. It flew past fields ready for harvest, past river fords where rumors galloped swifter than foals, past the neck's misty causeways, toward a castle of gray stone frozen in ancient watch. Its shadow passed over the shaggy pelt of summer, guarding a dreaming boy. Wings beat onward. Night gathered behind. Kingdoms shifted. And under the darkling sky, the first true night of the new Regency began. The rain began as a whisper against the red keep's rose-colored roof tiles, a hesitant tapping that thickened to a steady patter, drumming the dust from weather-cracked gargoyles and smearing torch flames into wavering comets. It was the first true rain of late summer, laden with the hot scent of earth and the faint sting of salt blown inland from Blackwater Bay. Lord Eddard Stark welcomed it with a grim sort of gratitude. Water might cool feverish tempers, and the god's new king's landing smoldered like a tinderbox. He stood in the gallery outside Maegor's holdfast, the damp breeze flattening his brown hair against his brow, gazing over a courtyard that had transformed overnight into a clenched fist of iron discipline. Baratheon knights in black and gold patrolled side by side with Stark guards in woolen gray. Their boots churned wet straw into the mud, but their lines remained straight, uncompromising. Between them flared braziers whose orange glow threw monstrous shadows onto the keep's walls. Only 3 days had passed since Robert's death, yet time seemed to lengthen like old leather stretched too far, threatening to snap at any careless tug. Inside the Queen's tower, Cersei Lannister waited in a rain-damp cell where moss climbed the mortar and rats ruled the corners. She still refused food from any hand save her own, gnawing at crusts with a smile that hinted she thought herself a wolf among sheep. The jailers whispered that she slept little, pacing the straw floor in silent fury, plotting. Ned believed them. He had known wolves enough to recognize a hunter's patience. Footsteps echoed, measured, uncompromising. Stannis Baratheon emerged from the archway, helm tucked under his arm, dark hair plastered to the high ridge of his forehead. Rain purled along the collar of his black scale cloak. "Lord Stark," he said, voice the scrape of granite. "The council assembles." Ned dipped his head. "All 7, 5 at least. Varys claims to search for loyal agents among the kitchens." Stannis snorted. "And Littlefinger slithers. But he will appear." The man glides to the scent of power like a gull to offal. They crossed the gallery, boots ringing on wet stone. Beneath their feet, cellars stored wildfire enough to cook the city thrice over. Ned could almost taste the acrid tang. Men built too many secrets into this hill, he thought, and sooner or later secrets burned. The council chamber smelled of beeswax and damp wool. Candles guttered in silver sconces, bending their flames as the wet wind pressed through casement cracks. Lord Renly paced before the hearth, slim green and gold armor reflecting each lick of firelight. The Tyrell knight Ser Loras stood near him, silent as a carved lily, though his dark eyes watched every doorway. Grand Maester Pycelle hunched at the table's end, quills and scrolls arrayed like siege engines, his rheumy gaze darting toward a small cauldron where medicinal herbs steeped in hot water. Across from him lounged Lord Peter Baelish, lace cuffs immaculate, a flicker of amusement anchored to one corner of his mouth. Ned took the high-backed oaken chair that Jon Arryn once occupied. Its arms were smooth from 2 decades of measured counsel. Stannis remained standing, knuckles resting on the table's lip as though the oak were a shield rim. Rain hammered the shutters. "We have received the first ravens." Pycelle's voice quavered like a plucked harp string. "From Riverrun, from the Eyrie, and this dawn from Casterly Rock itself." "Tywin answers?" Ned leaned forward, pulse quickening. Pycelle unrolled the parchment. "Lord Tywin Lannister demands the immediate release of his daughter, the restoration of her children to her care, and safe conduct for all Lannister kin from the capital." The old maester's eyes flicked to Stannis, then Ned. "He warns that any harm done to the princes or princess shall be met by wrath, such as has not been seen since the Field of Fire." Renly exhaled a soft whistle. "He as good as declares war." Baelish idly traced a finger along a knot in the wood. "Or he merely rattles his gilded sword to test its echo." Lord Tywin rarely moves blindly. Stannis's voice cut through the candle-scented air. "He will move now. Ravens fly faster than armies, but Tywin's gold buys swift hooves. We must prepare." Ned spread a second parchment. The Riverland's message bore Hoster Tully's trout. The words were simple. Riverrun would honor the Stark direwolf. Hoster pledged to hold his bannermen in readiness but would not march until Ned called. The old lord's ink trembled. Maester Vyman had penned the letters. "Riverrun stands with us," Ned announced. "That is heartening." Renly halted mid-stride. "What of the Eyrie? Lisa Arryn has skirts deep enough to hide half the veil behind them. Will she proclaim?" Pycelle cleared his throat. The Lady Regent of the Vale expresses condolences on his grace's passing and rejoices in Lord Stark's elevation to protector. He hesitated. She offers prayers. In other words, Renly muttered, "Nothing." Baelish smiled thinly. "Prayers can shift if the wind turns." Stannis slammed a gauntlet fist on the oak. "Words. While the lion unsheathes claws, we trade courtesies. And what would you counsel, Lord Stannis?" Ned kept his tone even, though the blow had rattled inkpots. "Raise the city, for 1,000 gold cloaks stand idle behind these walls. The northern escort numbers 800, my household knights 3. We have grain, coin, and command of the bay. Proclaim me king. Call banners. End the question." Renly's laugh was quicksilver. "You miscount, brother. My Stormlords number near 2,000, and half will heed me before they heed you." Stannis's gaze turned flinty. "Your Stormlords? They are sworn to Storm's End, and Storm's End is mine. You're by birth, perhaps." Renly shot back. "Mine by heart. Hearts win swords, I find." Ned rose. "Enough. The king rests in the tomb, cold and silent. His realm must not follow." Baelish steepled delicate fingers. "Then perhaps we begin not with crowns but coin. The Iron Bank has extended credit since Aegon's reign, yet Robert left our ledgers weeping. War bleeds gold, and peace bleeds honor," Stannis said. "Which price weighs dearer to you, Littlefinger?" Baelish's eyes glimmered amusement. "Why, the coin that buys the heavier sword, of course." Ned felt the room tilting toward discord, words like blades unsheathed. He drew breath. "We cannot march until the city itself is secure. Ser Janos commands the watch, yet his purse strings tangle with Lord Baelish's coffers. The watch must swear anew. We must feed small folk, patrol streets, quell rumor. Elsewise we fight 2 wars, one within, one without." Pycelle nodded, joints crackling. "Bread equal to steel, my lord. A hungry city is a tinderbox." Stannis straightened. "Very well. I leave you to guard the larder and soothe the rabble. I will ride for Dragonstone within the hour." Renly blinked. "Dragonstone? You abandon the capital after seizing it." "I take 20 ships," Stannis replied. "To gather my fleet, my lords, my stonecutter sons who serve me for salt wages. When I return, 10,000 men will sail in my wake, all sworn to me by laws older than Tywin Lannister's beard." Ned's heart jolted. "If you leave, the Lannisters may strike before you return." "Then hold the walls," Stannis said. "That is the duty of the Lord Protector." Raindrops hammered the shutters. For a moment, Ned imagined Winterfell's godswood, quiet as snowfall. "Duty. I will hold." That night, the corpse of Robert Baratheon lay in state within the September of Baelor, candles arrayed like an ocean of stars around the bier. The High Septon intoned hymns while silent sisters draped the king's brow with a circlet of black iron in place of his golden crown, the symbol of mortal frailty. Yet few small folk queued at the doors. Rumor kept them huddled in their hovels. Ned knelt alone beside the bier until wax tears pooled around his knees, listening to the rain's percussion upon marble vaulting, wondering how many souls the storm would claim before it broke. In the hour of the owl, Varys found him. Silk slippers whispered over limestone. "A somber vigil, my lord." Ned did not rise. "A somber realm." Varys folded his sleeves. Candlelight painted his shaven scalp gold. Word flies swifter than raven wings. Renly has slipped from the castle, disguised as a groom, with Ser Loras and half a dozen retainers. They rode south on the Rose Road. Ned's stomach sank. To High Garden. Most like, the eunuch agreed, a young stag courting a young rose, as the poets might say. Ned rose stiffly. "And you warn me, why?" "I serve the realm," Varys murmured. "Chaos is a ladder, yes, but sometimes the ladder topples and all fall to ruin. If lords play at crowns, small folk starve. A realm at peace is my master." Ned studied his pale hands, folded like parchment. "You serve whispers. Whispers can guide swords, Lord Stark." Varys's smile fluttered like a dying moth. A whisper reaches me now. Lord Baelish meets tonight with Janos Slynt in the treasury vault. They speak of gold cloaks and golden lions. Ned's hand closed on the hilt of ice. Then I will attend their conference. Varys dipped a bow. But go softly, my lord. Steel clatters in those halls, and steel can silence whispers, or give them voice. The vaults beneath the red keep lay carved into the hillside like ribs through flesh. Long corridors of chiseled granite lined with iron-bound coffers and bronze lamps. Ned descended with Jory Castle and 2 of Stannis' sworn swords. Men named Penrose and Massey, silent as the sea at dawn. His breath steamed in the torchlight, mingling with the faint odor of mold and ancient coin. They came upon the great counting chamber, doors ajar. Within, torches flared over piles of parchment and chests stamped with the stag and lion both. Lord Baelish stood at the far end, quill in hand, marking ledgers. Janos Slynt, in gold cloak and polished cuirass, leaned upon a chest as though it were a tavern counter. Ned stepped through the threshold. A late hour for sums, Lord Peter. Baelish looked up, expression unruffled. Ah, Lord Stark, coin keeps no hours. He set aside the quill, merely balancing the watch's accounts. And I, Slynt growled, discuss fair wages for men who bleed to keep these stones standing. Torchlight glinted on Ned's mail. Fair wages are due, but swords do not rate above honor. The watch answers to the realm, not to coin. Baelish parted his hands. Indeed, which is why the realm's coin must flow into their purses. Whose purses? Ned's eyes narrowed. 600 new sellswords arrived this eve by the mud gate. Striped sails from Lys and Myr. Hired with whose coin? Slynt's cheeks reddened. You speak in riddles.
Ned stepped closer.
Release the sellswords. I will not have foreign blades in Robert streets. Baelish sighed. Streets soon awash in lions, wolves, and stags alike. Better hired swords than hungry mobs. And better hungry mobs than betrayal, Ned said. Jory, escort Lord Baelish to his chambers. Ser Janos, you will swear your watch to the king's peace, or face dismissal. Slynt's nostrils flared. My men will obey, Ned finished. He would brook no debate. Baelish's dark-rimmed eyes glittered amusement. Very well, Lord Protector, but remember, creditors gather faster than vultures, and they seldom wait for corpses. Jory took his elbow. Ned watched them depart, then turned to Slynt, voice edged with winter. Dismiss the sellswords at dawn. Slynt bowed, but resentment smoldered behind his eyes. At sunrise, Dragonstone's black galleys unfurled their square sails like silent ravens and slipped from the harbor, Stannis standing stern-cast in sea-sprayed armor, face unreadable. Ned watched from the ramparts until the ships blended with the horizon haze. Then he turned inland, toward the narrower war already flaring in alleyways and whispers. Tywin Lannister's gold had crossed the river before the rain. By the 4th day, tavern brawls ended in dagger thrusts between men in crimson and men in mottled browns. A baker's cart burned on Visenya's hill. The smoke smelled of rye and fear. Ned redoubled patrols, set aside a third of the treasury for grain subsidies, and ordered free potage cauldrons in every district. Still, rumors thrived. One claimed Joffrey had been slain and Tommen spirited to Essos. Another that the direwolf banners would flay children in their beds. Ned would have laughed if the lies had not sprouted thorns in every ear. On the 5th night, Arya Stark vanished. Sansa found her chamber stripped, bed unmade, chest drawers yawning open, the window seat's cushion overturned. A half-eaten apple lay browning on the sill. Sansa ran through corridors calling her sister's name until her throat cracked. Guards searched turrets, kitchens, stables. No sign. Panic gnawed Ned's stomach like acid. He scoured the city, riding beneath lanterns that swung in the breeze, illuminating the mud-spattered faces of beggars who shrank from mounted steel. At dawn, a skinny ragpicker brought a folded vellum sealed with scarlet wax stamped by a lion's head. Ned tore it open with shaking fingers. No words, only a single golden braid tied in a lover's knot. Arya's hair was chestnut brown. Cersei. Rage blotted Ned's vision. He ordered the queen dragged from her cell. Jory and Hallis hauled her into the Tower of the Hand, wrists still chained. Her gown was torn and filthy, yet her smile blazed triumphant. "My lord Hand," she purred. "How fares your wolf girl? Where is she?" Ned's voice cracked like ice under spring flood. Cersei tilted her head, matted hair falling. "A cage for a cage, Stark. Free me and the child lives." "You lie. My father's gold does not." She glanced at Jory's sword. "Blood buys loyalty. Ask your gold cloaks." Ned felt a blade of dread. Slint. He had not replaced the man. Time was too thin. Had Janos turned? He thrust thought away. "If a hair on her head is harmed, you will what?" Her laugh rang hollow. "Chop my head? Then you lose the key." Jory's sword rasped half free. Ned raised a hand. "Leave us." Reluctance flickered, but loyalty prevailed. The guards withdrew. Rain pattered the shutters again. Summer's ceaseless lament. Ned faced her across the chamber. Cersei's green eyes glittered. "You have Robert's eyes," she mused. Soft with pity. He pitted whores and bastards too. And pity killed him. Ned's jaw clenched. "It was wine and your scheming that killed him." "Wine you poured," she countered. "Schemes you were too slow to stop." He stepped closer. "Tell me where Arya is." "She sails downriver this very hour, bound for Lannisport. A lion's cub for a wolf's queen." Cersei licked cracked lips. "With her safe, my father holds your north in his hand. He will burn Winterfell for every finger laid on my sons." Ned's breath hissed. Lightning flared beyond the window, thunder rolling beneath. "Your sons are no sons of Robert's. They are mine." She bared her teeth. "And I keep what is mine." Ned's hand trembled on Ice's grip. "Kill her and perhaps doom Arya. Spare her and invite traitors' poison." He thought of Lyanna once more. "Promise me, Ned." Promises and children, they chained a man. Slowly he turned away. "Guards," he called. "Take the queen back to her cell. She shall answer to the lords of the Reach and Riverlands both." Cersei's laughter followed them down the corridor. 2 ravens beat into the maester's rookery that afternoon. One from Lord Manderley at White Harbor, pledging 3,000 spears by sea should Stark call. The other from Tywin Lannister demanding Cersei's release before the next moon lest Winterfell fall and Harrenhal burn. Ned held both parchments over the brazier's glow, weighing them like iron in each palm. The flames licked hungrily, but he did not burn them. Instead, he folded them together. A wolf and a lion forced to share a single purse, and sealed the packet with dark wax stamped by the direwolf. Then he penned 4 more letters, to Robb at Winterfell, to Hoster Tully, to Lady Lisa, and, to his own surprise, to Theon Greyjoy. Balon's heir had long chafed under Stark hospitality. Yet a prince of the Iron Islands might harry Lannister ships, and a hungry kraken struck swiftly. Night fell saturated with thunderheads. Ned left the tower alone, descending to the courtyard where the gods would lay beyond pale lanterns. Rain tapped his cloak, cooled his fevered mind. He needed the tree's silent witness. He had walked scarcely 20 paces before a figure stepped from the eve shadow. Baelish, cloaked head to heel in charcoal velvet. The man's smile flickered brief as sheet lightning. "My Lord Hand," he greeted softly. "Dare I hope you have reconsidered our fiscal partnership?" Ned's patience frayed. "Your coin breeds poisons." "Coin breeds choices," Baelish corrected. "You lack both and time besides. What treachery have you seeded tonight?"
Ned demanded.
Baelish's lashes fluttered damp. "Only blooms. I have arranged a meeting for you. The Guildhall of the Alchemists, midnight." "Why there?" "Because," Baelish breathed, leaning close. "In the vault beneath their hall sits a cask of wildfire older than Aegon's conquest, sealed by Valyrian glyphs. And upon that cask sits your daughter, alive with a lion knife at her throat." Ned's heartbeat thundered louder than the storm. "How?" A generous loan paved the way. Baelish's eyes shone. "I offered to broker, come unarmored, with the queen in tow, and the lion will trade girl for mother. You speak of Ser Jaime? Baelish shook his head. A catspaw of lesser stripe. Jaime rides north to rally riverlords against their own liege. No. This is a weasel named Kevin, dutiful and dull. Ned felt the world tilt. Why tell me this? I delight in debts, Baelish whispered. A Stark debt is priceless. Save your daughter, repay me later, with one small favor. When banners fly and swords cross, allow the master of coin to remain in office. He offered a hand slick with rain. Ned stared at it. A snake coiled in velvet. Lightning split the sky. Ned turned on his heel, cloak snapping. If Arya dies, I will feed you to your own brothels. Baelish's laugh was drowned by thunder. At midnight, the guild hall of the alchemists rose like a dark candle, narrow windows shedding feeble green luminescence, the eerie glow of wildfire licking in copper lamps. Ned wore naught but a leather jerkin beneath a sodden cloak. Ice he left behind, though its absence weighed heavier than steel. Jory and Hallis followed, swords sheathed but eyes sharp. They found the main door ajar. Inside, staircases climbed like vines around a hollow core where casks of pale green glass waited on wrought iron pans, death bottled and corked. Each step creaked underfoot. Ned smelled brimstone. On the third landing, a single lantern revealed a tableau. Arya Stark, wrists bound, hair wild, pushed to her knees beside a barrel carved with dragon runes. A dagger pressed her throat, wielded by a man in mail half hidden beneath a crimson cloak. Behind him stood Ser Kevin Lannister, gauntlet hands folded, expression drawn. Cersei Lannister waited, flanked by 2 lion knights, her chains removed, dark velvet gown clinging to her ribs. Rainwater beaded her hair. She had come from her cell in the downpour. Her gaze burned. Ned, Arya gasped, eyes fierce despite the blade. Ned raised empty palms. I am here. Let the child go, Ser Kevin. Kevin's voice was tired. Trade, Lord Stark. Sister for girl. That is all. Cersei's smile sliced. Release me and my son ascends the throne in the morning, peacefully. Or spill blood now and watch King's Landing burn before dawn. One spark and this guild hall becomes a dragon's belly. The wildfire barrel seemed to throb with green heartbeats. Ned's breath turned to ice. If the cask ruptures, none of us escape. That is the point, Cersei replied. I would die a queen. And the girl? He asked hoarsely. Collateral. She flicked a dismissive hand. Pray we all survive. Jory inched forward. The dagger pressed, drawing a red bead on Arya's pale skin. She did not flinch. Ned felt the net tighten. Baelish's snare, lion claws, sister saved or realm lost. He forced his voice steady. Very well. Release Arya first. Then I unchain the queen. Kevin hesitated. Cersei's eyes narrowed. Do it together. Hallis stepped forward with a ring of keys.
Ned gestured.
Arya rose slowly. The dagger trailed at her throat. Hallis inserted a key into Cersei's manacles. Jory took Arya's elbow. The lock clicked open. Chains slithered to the floor. In the same breath, Jory yanked Arya backward. Kevin shouted. Cersei lunged. Too late. Ned seized her arm, twisting behind, pinning. The lion knight swung. Hallis parried, steel ringing in the narrow stairwell. The dagger man thrust at Arya, but she ducked under his arm. Years of Braavosi water dancing flashed in one fluid pivot, and drove her small knee hard into his groin. He doubled with a grunt. Jory's sword pommel crushed the back of his helm. He fell senseless. Cersei struggled like a vixen in a snare, spitting curses. Ned forced her wrists together. Hallis clapped new irons. Kevin stepped back, horror blanking his face. It is done, Ned said, breath ragged. Leave, Ser Kevin. Take your wounded and go. I will see the Queen's trial fair. Kevin's shoulders sagged. You leave me no road but blood. Choose a new one, Ned urged. Help me end this peacefully. Kevin's gaze drifted to Arya, defiant, scraped, alive. Something shuddered behind his eyes. He sheathed steel. I will send a raven. he murmured and turned away. Dawn bled scarlet behind clouds as the Stark party rode through King's Landing's silent streets. Arya astride before her father, arms tight round his ribs. She breathed tremulously, yet her voice held steel. "I knew you'd come." The words pierced Ned's heart, aching with love and regret. He kissed her hair. "You are a wolf. Wolves run together." They reached Maegor's holdfast. Stannis' banner no longer flew. Instead, the direwolf and crowned stag shared the mast, two sigils side by side. Ned felt the rain cease. The air stilled as though the city held its breath. Inside the yard, men surrounded a wooden platform hastily erected before the tower steps. Atop it stood Janos Slynt, Lord Baelish at his side, and a burly Lyseni captain of Sellswords. Between them knelt a man in a black cloak, Jory Castle's second cousin, bearing the Stark badge. Blood streaked his beard. Baelish's voice rang. "By order of the City Watch, traitors to King Joffrey are executed at dawn. Those who kneel may yet earn pardon." Ned felt rage ignite. Jory spurred forward, sword half drawn, but Ned raised a fist. Calm as snowfall. "Janos," he called. "By whose authority?" Slynt's grin showed broken teeth. "Mine, Lord Protector. The gold cloaks serve the king." "And who is king?" Ned asked, voice like distant thunder. Baelish's smile curved. "His Grace Joffrey Baratheon, first of his name." Gasps rippled. Even the Sellsword captain darted a glance. Ned dismounted, ice gleaming in the gray light. Arya slipped from the saddle, Hallis guiding her away.
"Jory," Ned murmured.
"Guard my daughter." Then he stepped onto the platform. Rain-slick boards creaked beneath his boots. Gold cloaks closed ranks, but hesitation trembled in their eyes. Many had seen the queen led away in irons, had heard whispers of incest, bastard kings. They watched the tall Northman ascend, great sword dark with oil and memory. Baelish spoke softly, only for Ned to hear. "You should have taken my hand, Stark." "My hands are clean," Ned replied. "Not for long." Ned raised his voice. "I hold letters bearing the seals of Riverrun, White Harbor, and the Eyrie, naming Stannis Baratheon the rightful king. Cersei stands indicted for treason. Any man who doubts may read the proofs in the throne room this day." Murmurs swelled. Slynt barked, "Hold fast! The Protector lies." But uncertainty spread like rot. The Sellswords shifted, considering the day's pay. Ned turned to Slynt. "Dismiss your false judgment. Free that man." He nodded to the prisoner. Baelish whispered something. Slynt's eyes glinted. He drew a short axe. Ned recognized the moment the die was cast.
SLYNT swung af Ned's shoulder.
Ice met axe haft. With splintered, steel shrieked. Gold cloaks lurched uncertainly. Ned drove a mailed fist into Slynt's jaw. The officer pitched off the platform, axe spinning. At that, the Sellsword captain stepped back, hands raised. Panic flickered. Lines broke. Jory and Hallis surged, swords flashing. Baelish vanished in the confusion, melting into the crowd. Within heartbeats, it was over. Slynt lay bound, the prisoner freed. Gold cloaks knelt or fled. Ned stood, chest heaving, rain returning in a whisper. He felt no triumph, only weariness deeper than mine shafts. He ordered Slynt stripped of rank, the Sellswords disarmed. Baelish sought. Then he carried Arya in his arms up the tower steps, past silent onlookers, his cloak soaked with rain and the city's tears. That evening a raven from Storm's End broke the clouds. Stannis' sigil burned red in the setting sun. The message was short. Fleet gathered. Sail with tide. Hold the city. Justice soon. Ned sat beneath flickering lanterns with Sansa and Arya sleeping at his side, their hands entwined despite their quarrels. Beyond the window the rain ceased at last, leaving the air scrubbed clean, the city gleaming like a pearl under dusk. Tomorrow he would convene the small council, read Jon Arryn's proofs aloud, call lords to sworn testimony. War still loomed, Tywin's host marching, Renly courting roses, Baelish weaving shadows. But for one fragile night, The direwolf family lay intact beneath one roof, and the realm's fate balanced on the sharpened edge of truth. Ned thought of Bran's dreaming eyes far in the north, of Jon Snow on the wall, of Robb preparing Winterfell's banners. He whispered a silent prayer to the old gods and the new. Let honor hold. Outside, the first stars winked awake above Blackwater Bay, and their cold light traced the outlines of ships' masts rocking gently on dark water, silent witnesses to a kingdom poised between storm and dawn. The night after Janos Slint's fall tasted of copper and damp mortar. A stillness stretched taut over King's Landing like a sail that sensed an unseen gale. Lord Eddard Stark never trusted calm after battle. Calm was only silence binding wounds before the next blow. He walked the spine of the outer curtain wall alone, torches sputtering in the new-washed air, hearing every clink of his mail as if the city itself were listening. Below, the dark ribbon of the Street of Flower lay deserted save for wind-skittered rubbish. A single cur ran across it, and Ned's heart clenched to think of small folk shuddered inside, waiting for dawn prayers to tell them whether they lived in a kingdom or a battlefield. Behind him, the door to the barracks creaked. Ser Barristan Selmy emerged, silver hair plastered to his temples, breastplate unbuckled at the throat. He carried a small leather pouch, and his blue eyes were rimmed red as a maester's after ink copying half the night. "My lord," Selmy greeted. "Forgive the hour." Ned inclined his head. "Sleep is a luxury, a truth the Kingsguard learn early." Selmy's lips twitched, but no humor reached his eyes. "Stannis has not yet cleared the gullet. A storm delays him off Cracklaw Point." "Storms follow Stannis," Ned murmured, recalling the squall that ravaged the Blackwater on the day of his birth. "Yet storms break." Selmy extended the pouch. 6 rings, taken from Janos Slint's purse. Each bears the lion's head of Lannister. Ned weighed the pouch. Gold clinked like distant chimes. How many such rings among the watch? Too many. Selmy's jaw set. Mormont's talk of the Night's Watch losing its honor seems echoed here. We must cull the rot, or it will fester. Ned cinched the pouch at his belt. "First light, we convene captains and oath them anew. Your presence will remind them of the vows they once admired." Selmy inclined his head. "Some admire only profit. Then profit will no longer command." Ned considered the quiet roofs, lamplight guttering in half-shuttered windows. "I will levy a bread stipend for every cloak who serves the small folks' soup lines in Flea Bottom. Feed the city and feed loyalty." Selmy's brows lifted. "Coin is a sharper spur than whips. So my father taught." Ned turned away from memories of Lord Ricard's frost-edged lessons. "Thank you, Ser Barristan." As Selmy departed, Ned looked east, where the night's horizon faintly silvered. Stannis would sail on that light, and Tywin Lannister would march into it. Every heartbeat between now and then might birth new treachery. He flexed fingers still swollen from gripping ice and whispered to the cold wind, "Hold!" Dawn cracked open like a fresh-baked loaf. Steam rose from roofs, mingling with chimney smoke. In the throne room, the small council assembled beneath the twisted iron fangs of Aegon's seat, each man drawn and grave as though the very pillars sagged with weight. Grand Maester Pycelle presided at a low lectern laden with scrolls. Varys entered last, fluttering purple sleeves and bowing deeper than the rest, as if to mask how he studied every face. Ned remained standing at the foot of the dais, ice-sheathed but visible. To his left knelt 4 inconspicuous chests, Baelish's ledgers seized after his flight. Hallis Malin kept keys. "My lords," Ned began, voice carrying through echoing vaults. "The Queen sits in irons. Her trial awaits peers. The city watch is purged of lion coin. Bread carts roll to Flea Bottom, escorted by Baratheon knights. Yet the realm trembles. We must speak frankly." Pycelle cleared his throat. "The Raven from Riverrun, Lord Protector. Lord Hoster reports Ser Jaime breached the Golden Tooth and rides down the Tumblestone with 6,000 swords." Murmurs hissed. Ned absorbed the blow. Jaime had chosen the quickest knife. Slice the Riverlands and choke King's Landing of grain and hostages. "What of Tywin's main host?" Ned asked. Varys spread plump fingers. Near Fairmarket, if whispers be true. 20,000 fronted by Ser Gregor Clegane. They levy grain and small folk alike. Pycelle added, Ravens plead for aid. Lord Mallister fights along the Red Fork. The Iron Throne gleamed above, indifferent. Ned's gaze traveled to Renly's empty chair, draped now in green silk. Gone 2 nights, carried south on galloping rumor. No alliance with Highgarden yet, but seeds sown. King's Landing must hold, Ned said. Stannis sails with 500 knights and thrice that in men-at-arms. The northern banners ride south. Umber, Manderley, Karstark, and the phrase, Pycelle interjected. Ned's jaw tightened. Walder Frey sits his fence. Baelish would have sweetened that fence with gold, Ned thought. Now Littlefinger's absence might tempt the old trout to the stronger current, wherever that flowed. Ser Barristan stepped forward. Lord Protector, the throne lacks a crowned head. Lords starve for an anointed king. Pycelle shuffled. Indeed, the faith expects coronation before the next moon. Ned nodded once. Then we crown Stannis Baratheon upon his return. He surveyed the council. Any man who disputes Stannis' claim may present proof contrary to Jon Arryn's investigation. Silence answered. Even Pycelle merely stroked his beard. See to the city's defense, Ned concluded. All else waits. 3 evenings later, thunderheads loomed but no rain came. A wind gusted from the north, tangling banners atop the Red Keep as if they quarreled over precedence. Ned's daughters dined with him in the Tower of the Hand, a quiet meal of brown bread, river trout, and carrot stew. Sansa's cheeks had regained some color. She spoke of Ser Barristan teaching her a southern dance step in the corridor, her voice lifting at the memory. Arya rarely spoke at all now, but Ned noticed how she kept a hand resting on a new wooden practice sword that Jory had carved for her. She traced the grain while she chewed, eyes distant. Halfway through the meal, Maester Pycelle arrived with a folded letter. Wax bore a crown stag. From Dragonstone, he wheezed. Ned broke the seal, read, and his heartbeat hammered like a war drum. To Eddard of House Stark, Lord Protector. The Windproud makes harbor by dawn's tide with 5 galleys behind. I come with justice. Stannis of House Baratheon. P.S. The Lyseni Gale has cost 2 days. My lord's hunger for action. Have the city sworn. Ned rolled the parchment, fighting instinct. Stannis would stride through gates demanding fealty or heads. The city must not fear him. Kindle hope before the storm. That night, Ned summoned the septons of the town's septs, guildmasters, and the captains of each district's watch post. They met under torches in the Dragonskull storage hall, shadow-haunted yet wide enough for 600 men to hear. Ned stood upon a dais with Ser Barristan, Ser Davos Seaworth newly arrived from the fleet, and Lord Manderley's envoy, Ser Willem Knott. The rightful king lands with dawn, Ned told them. He brings ships laden with grain to fill our stores, coin to pay our watch, and justice to seat the realm. You served Robert loyally. Serve his brother now, who carries his memory and his crown. A guildmaster of Chandler's raised a trembling hand. And if lions batter our gates before he arrives? Ned's voice softened. The city is stone and steel, but stone stands by mortar of men. Feed the hungry, water the wounded, keep the peace, and no gate shall fall. You have my oath, and mine is bound to the north and to Dragonstone. Murmur turned to oath. Torches flared on a forest of lifted hands. When Ned dismissed the assembly, Davos clasped his forearm. They believe, the smuggler knight whispered. Stannis will be surprised. Let him find cause to temper iron with mercy, Ned replied. Dawn broke in a blaze of rose gold. Gulls keened above the bay, swooping round masts where Baratheon stags snapped fresh in the breeze. The Windproud led the vanguard, black hull cutting wake like a sword's edge. On the forecastle stood Stannis in breastplate chased with black enamel, jaw set against wind, cloak streaming crimson. King's Landing flocked to the quays. Fishmongers, potters, washerwomen, they filled the docks in wary clusters. Ned rode down with Ser Barristan and 100 gold cloaks now bearing direwolf and stag badges sewn hastily over their mantles. When the plank dove onto the pier, Stannis strode down without waiting for ceremony. He saw Ned, frowned briefly, then seized his arm. "Brother's friend," he greeted. "Is the city mine?" "It is the realms, your grace." Ned knelt on the planks slick with morning spray. "Oaths await your voice." Stannis's eyes flicked to the watching crowd. Some knelt, most simply stared. He turned to them, his voice a bell peal. "I am Stannis of House Baratheon, King of the Undulls, Rhoynar and the First Men," he announced. "The laws of gods and men name me so, and I will not yield. But I will give bread to the hungry, justice to the wronged, and war only to those who bring war to my gates. Who kneels to me kneels to law, not to pride." An old woman near the rope coiled her arthritic joints to the ground. A cobbler lowered his head. Soon a ripple formed, men and women folding to knees, uncertain yet sincere. Stannis watched without expression, then faced Ned. "She lives, then, my realm," he said low. "Barely," Ned replied, "but hearts remember fairness." Stannis sniffed. "I recall more hearts remembering secrets at Robert's brothels." "Even secrets hunger for law," Ned said. Stannis grunted. "Summon the High Septon. We crown at the first hour after noon. And fetch me the queen, clothed fit for judgment. I would show the city what treason looks like." The throne room became a forge that day, hammers of rumor beating molten terror into new allegiance. Banners draped each column. The crowned stag at the center flanked left by direwolf, right by three-headed red dragon on black. Stannis' silent nod to history's older fire. Cersei Lannister, robes of green silk gifted by Septas, stood between two guards with wrists still chained. Her beauty seemed burnished brighter by her captivity. Murmurs followed her steps like stealthy dogs. Arya watched from an alcove high above, wedged between pillars, while Sansa sat among ladies near the front. Lady Barbary Dustin beside her, whispered condolences for lost innocence. Arya preferred height and shadows. She could see everyone, yet few looked up. When trumpets cried the king's entry, her heart thumped as if she held a bowstring taut. Stannis walked the carpet flanked by Ser Barristan and Davos. His circlet was wrought of plain steel edged with black stones, storm crown instead of gold. He mounted the dais below the Iron Throne, then turned to the hall. "Let all see justice," he said. "Bring forth the proof." Maester Pycelle stepped shaking, holding aloft the ledgers of bloodlines and Jon Arryn's parchment. He read the charges, voice fluttering like a frail moth. Incest, false seed upon the throne, conspiracy to murder the king's hand and the king himself. Gasps broke the air. Even those who doubted felt the chill of truth. Cersei lifted her chin. "My lords," she called clear, "my womb grows no lies. I loved and I bore children in love. What crime is love?" "The law is not love," Stannis answered. "Then the law is barren," she hissed. Davos spoke for the court. "The crown sentences Cersei Lannister to confinement until a conclave of 7 High Lords judges her. Until then, her life is under crown's protection." Murmur rippled, some expecting a head to roll. Arya's fingers dug into stone. She had wanted swords to swing for her collar scar. But Ned had counseled mercy to hold hostages. Tommen and Myrcella still in chambers under guard. Killing their mother would rouse worse storms. Cersei smiled through clamped bonds. "Mercy from a Baratheon? We shall pen a ballad." Stannis ordered her removed. As she passed Ned's daughters, Sansa's gaze dropped. Arya's burned back. Next, the High Septon tottered forth. Upon the 7-pointed star, he anointed Stannis's brow with holy oil scented of myrrh. The plain steel crown settled upon his head, and the throne room knelt as one. Trumpets long and bright rang through windows into the square beyond, where folk listened. Stannis turned to the Iron Throne behind, but he did not seat himself. Instead, his voice rose. "This chair is forged of the swords of vanquished foes. I claim the kingship, yet I will not sit until my foe bows." He faced the hall. "That foe is treason. When Tywin Lannister kneels, when Renly Baratheon kneels, then I will take this seat. Until then, I stand with the realm on my own legs." It was theatrics, Arya knew, but the hall exploded in cheers. Men love a king who scorns comfort. Even she found her throat tight. That night's council was war council. Maps sprawled across the hands table. The riverlands shaped like a leaf gnawed by red worms. The gold road dotted with Lannister lions. Stannis traced lines with a dagger tip. Tywin splits. Ser Gregor south along the Mander, Jaime northeast. Their aim: squeeze us like grapes. He stabbed the map. They burn peasants to draw banners to Jaime for vengeance. Davos folded arms. Breaking their fords will slow them. Fords alone won't stop lions, Ned said. Steel and honor will. We must call bannermen of the Crownlands. Win them before fear does. Stannis's brows knitted. They fear the lion more than the wolf. Then we show the wolf's teeth, Ned answered. I will ride to Rosby and Stokeworth, to Duskendale and even Hayford. See the lords face to face, pledge grain security. My daughters remain in the Red Keep under Davos and Selmy. Stannis tapped the map again. I march west with the fleet upriver, link with Tully at Riverrun, break Jaime's siege, then pivot south. Tywin runs home or faces two jaws. Ned nodded. The plan felt solid as Winterfell's granite if the pieces held. But as the council disbanded, Varys approached, voice silken. My lords, while you shape armies, whispers speak of a dagger in your shadows. He bowed to Stannis. Someone moves to free the queen. Stannis's eyes flashed. Who? I cannot yet name the sponsor, Varys said. But a black sail left dock at dusk, bound for Duskendale, carrying a masked man of Queensguard height. The master of ship's logs, no such departure. Ned felt dread. Baelish? No, Littlefinger would not bloody his own hands. He would hire others. Jaime was elsewhere. Might Kevin act? Yet masked? Stannis growled. Post double guards. If the queen vanishes, heads will follow. 3 days later, the king's new banners marched from King's Landing. 3,000 Stormlanders and Crownlanders under Lord Caro, Northmen under Hallis Malin, and Stannis himself at the forefront. Dragonglass black armor caught sunrise fire. Sansa watched from the inner gatehouse, tears slipping although she could not name why. A king's army felt like a song of glory, but songs too often ended in weeping. Arya slipped away to the yard's quiet corner where her water-dancing drills left dusty arcs near the stables. She practiced lunge and pivot, feeling phantom pain of the earlier dagger nick, yet stronger for it. Inside the keep, Ned prepared to ride east to Rosby. He wore lighter armor and cloaked gray for travel. Jory handed him a small roll of parchment sealed with wax, a list of grain prices and levy counts. But as Ned mounted his Garen, a groom raced from the postern shouting his name. My lord! Ships on the horizon, striped red and gold sails. Panic prickled. Lannister? But Tywin's fleet was thought in the west. Ned spurred toward the eastern parapet. Through spyglass he saw 18 galleys hugging the coast, oars churning foam. Their banners bore not lion but a golden rose on green. Tyrell. Heart leapt. Renly's reach perhaps. The ships anchored at Driftmark's sheltered coves. By dusk riders thundered through the Dragon Gate, brandishing roses and a stag crowned with thorns. Renly's sigil. Their leader was Ser Loras Tyrell, armor polished mirror-bright, plume streaming. He dismounted in the yard, removed helm, and bowed to Ned. Lord Protector, Lord Renly of House Baratheon sends greeting and goodwill. He awaits safe audience under your roof. Ned measured the knight's eager eyes. Renly risked traveling by sea rather than march. He meant to stake claim fast. With Stannis away, Renly would hope to woo the city. Lord Renly is welcome as Robert's brother, Ned lied smoothly. We lodge him in the Maiden Vault. Loras's relief was palpable. His lordship travels by litter and arrives by moonrise. Ned returned to council chambers, heart pounding. Varys and Pycelle listened as he relayed. The eunuch's brows arched. A seed thrown between two storm brothers. We must watch where it sprouts. Pycelle fussed with his chains. Perhaps a marriage of roses and wolves? Young Sansa. Enough, Ned snapped. My daughter is not barter. He softened. Not again. He dispatched ravens to Stannis. Renly in the city, Tyrell ships at harbor. Warning soared into dusk. Renly arrived draped in green velvet trimmed with black sable, a crown of gold roses twining his brow, no modest circlet. He swept into the throne room bold as a mummer on festival day, 60 knights glittering behind. Ned met him mid-hall. Brother Stark, Renly exclaimed, lips curving. My city looks grander than I recall. It is the realm's, Ned answered, and the realm waits for peace. Then let us give it peace, Renly said. He glanced at the Iron Throne's skeletal spires. An empty seat draws contention like flies to meat. Crown me, and I shall feed Tywin's armies to the crows before first frost. The throne is Stannis's by law. Law without love is weak, Renly countered softly. Ask your people which brother they desire. Ask the Tyrell grain ships. Ask the Reach spears camped beyond the Rose Road. Half the realm readies for me. And the other half? Ned replied. The North, the Vale, the Stormlander Corps, they ride for Stannis. Because they think he will win. Renly's smile dimmed. If they saw the rose bloom first, they would bend its way. Evening light slanted through windows, striking dust motes. Renly's eyes, green as summer grass, sought Ned's. Name me king, he whispered, and I name you hand for life. Your daughters marry high, your son weds my first daughter when she's 10. I grant widows' pensions to the North's burned villages and give you Storm's End to hold for my bloodline. A generous offer. Ned felt anger flare. Robert once offered me the world. I refused. I serve honor, not advancement. Renly stepped closer. Honor, Eddard, cannot keep men fed. Winter comes, grain lies south. A rose blooms even in snow if nourished. Winter's wolves feed themselves, Ned said. Your ships may dock, but your crown stays in your dreams. When Stannis returns, speak to him of brotherly alliance. Renly's jaw clenched. He bowed curtly. Forgive me, Lord Stark, if I prefer not to kneel to a man who smiles only for statues. He left with a swirl of velvet. That night, Ned stood beneath the weirwood of the Red Keep's Godswood, the slender sapling planted by Aegon's northern brothers centuries past. It was a pale thing, not gnarled and ancient like Winterfell's heart tree. Yet the carved face still bled red sap under moonlight, and Ned felt its eyes upon him. He whispered prayers for guidance. Could he hold the city between two Baratheon brothers? Could peace root in soil watered by suspicion? He thought of Jon Arryn dying for truth, of Robert dying for wine and wild boar. Would Stannis and Renly repeat that circle, two tusks ripping the realm? Leaves rustled. Varys glided through the ferns. My lord begs counsel, the eunuch guessed. Perhaps, Ned admitted. How to keep brothers from war. Brothers often crave approval, not victory, Varys said. Renly seeks smiling crowds. Stannis seeks righteous cause. Find each need. Feed it. Ned frowned. Renly wants a crown, Stannis wants the law. They cannot both have it. They can, if one wears gold and one wears steel, Varys suggested. Make Renly the shield that shines, Stannis the sword that strikes. Co-regency. Two kings.
Ned scoffed.
Two heads of the dragon once ruled. Varys's shrug rippled silks. History offers stranger unions. Ned leaned against the white trunk, feeling its smoothness. Too fragile. Renly will not share glory. Then he may share death, Varys said sadly. Morning dawned blood-red. Ravens beat wings, the fleet at Duskendale sighted Lannister sails, a fast raiding squadron. Ned ordered galleys to intercept. Davos sailed east under black-striped war pennants. The city braced. Midday bells tolled thrice, an alarm. Cersei had escaped. Guards found her cell door open. 2 men slain, throats carved ear to ear. A third guard missing. Footprints led to an unused sewer grate beneath the kitchens. A stable boy claimed he saw a cloaked woman ride a bay mare out the mud gate at dawn. Gold hair glimpsed. Chaos swelled. Ned convened captains. Every gate sealed. Watch doubled. He sent ravens north and west. Queen fugitive. 2 hours later, a wisp-thin girl in ratty linens presented herself at the gate, carrying Cersei's emerald ear-clasp. The queen had paid her to wear a blonde wig and distract pursuing riders. She begged pardon. Ned gave her food and sent her to Septa Mordain for shelter. Now he traced the queen's route. Mudgate, then north along the King's Road or east to Rosby's marshes. Lannister scouts likely planned meeting in the forests of the Crow's Hills. Ned could not chase. Renly's presence, Tyrell troops, grain docks, all demanded holdfast. He penned warnings to Stannis and Robb. Night cloaked the keep, torches guttered low. Renly barged into Ned's solar unbidden, Ser Loras at heel. "This is madness," Renly spat. "The lioness loose, Stannis away, Tywin marching. Crown me and your troubles vanish." "Your troubles multiply," Ned snapped. "For Stannis will return with mandolin spears and smash you first." Renly's hand clenched around golden rose hilt. "I will not be second son again." "Then do not be second king," Ned answered gently. "Be first brother. Help me hold the city until Stannis comes. Speak to him. Perhaps he will name you heir if he lacks sons." Renly scoffed. "He would sooner sire puppies." Ned breathed. "Then prove him wrong. Stay." Renly studied him, eyes bright with stormlight. At last he said, 3 days. If Stannis fails to return, I depart. And I take my reach banners with me." 3 days, Ned agreed, though dread coiled. Those days bled one into the next like water seeping under a closed door. Crownland's lords arrived, bent knee to Stannis in absentia. Gulltown's fleet answered Lisa Arryn's call, sailing south to guard the narrow sea. Northmen crossed the neck, pushing toward Moat Cailin. But wolves traveled farther than ravens. News lagged. On the second night storms raged, lightning casting skeletal shadows across tower roofs. Sansa dreamed of thunderwolves howling. Arya woke to find needle-thin rain spatting through cracked shutters. She rose, padded barefoot to her father's chamber. Ned sat at his desk, quill poised over parchment but ink dry. He looked up, weary eyes softening. "Can't sleep." "Neither can you," Arya said. She climbed onto a stool, hugged knees. "Will Mother come soon?" Ned's throat tightened. News of Catelyn's journey from the Eyrie had not arrived. Each day the road grew more perilous. "I hope," he murmured. "Your mother journeys with honor's purpose." Arya studied his lined face. "Sometimes honor is heavy." He smiled faintly. "It is the heaviest load, yet the easiest to bear long-term. I miss Winterfell." Her voice quavered. "I miss hot stone floors. I miss the smell of pine pitch on morning frost," he confessed. "But our roots travel with us." He rested a palm on her dark hair. "Be brave." A thunderclap shook the keep. In that flash, Ned glimpsed the map on his desk, pins marking every army like bright needles. So many paths to death, so few to life. Dawn's gray light revealed sails upon the horizon again, black and white and green. Stannis' fleet cresting the storm's back, masts intact. The city exhaled as ships entered harbor. But before Ned could ride to greet them, horns blared on the western wall, dust clouds on the gold road, banners of red lion rampant on crimson. Tywin had come faster than crows. Panic roiled. Council convened in haste. Stannis strode in soaked to the bone yet resolute. "The lion roars," Ned briefed. "He camps beyond Sunspear Ridge. Then the lion corners himself," Stannis said. "I will strike his flank along the Windwater, drive him east into the Crownlands Marsh where supply fails." Renly stepped forward, cloak swishing. "I will ride with you." Stannis eyed him. "I need no parade." "You need knights," Renly retorted. "My reach men thirst for joust." Ned watched, heart rising. Perhaps unity, but Davos burst in, face ashen. "Your Grace, the Queen." She sails upriver under Lannister sails. River patrol seized a courier. Cersei bound for Derry by way of Harrenhal. Gregor Clegane escorts. Silence fell heavy as chainmail. Stannis' eyes blazed. She escapes again? Renly's lips curved tauntingly. So much for your justice. Stannis growled. I will hunt her.
No, Ned interposed.
Tywin's host threatens the city. Chase Cersei and you give him the gates. Let me send a small, swift force. Northmen no forests. Stannis hesitated, conflict warping his stern lines. To guard my throne I stay. Hunt her, Lord Stark. But if she reaches Harrenhal, Jaime will break Riverrun and send her west. Fail, and I name you derelict. Ned accepted. He would ride at dawn with 200 picked spearmen and 60 archers, Hallis and Jory at his side. He kissed Sansa's hair, clasped Arya's shoulder, and told them he would return before first frost. Through each word, the memory of Catelyn's face shimmered. He had to believe she rode closer. They left city gates under waning moon. Renly's green banners waved them out. Stannis stood on the walls, silhouette of iron. Beyond the King's Road, fields lay flattened by Lannister scouts. Smoke columns rose where villages once bustled. Ned's column forked east to skirt the marsh, hoofbeats squelching. Each dawn they found new signs. Hoofprints of heavy destriers, wool ruts of gilded carriages, scorched farmsteads where the lion's sigil burned on charred beams. Cersei's passage left fear like spore. On the third day, Hallis returned from scout line, eyes bleak. At Gallows Bridge, we found a wagon household of Lord Hay. All slain, tongues removed.
Ned swallowed sickness.
Gregor's work. They pressed on. At dusk, thunder rumbled over the god's eye's vast shimmer. Harrenhal's towers loomed, broken fingers clawing a bruised sky. Torches mottled its walls like embers under ash. Jory crawled a ridge, spyglass trained. Lion camp within outer yard. Standard of Ser Amory Lorchflies. Cersei's carriage below the widow's tower. Ned planned under moonlight. 2 platoons creep through the dead godswood. Archers snipe sentries. Spears drive to the carriage. Quick cut, quick retreat south to the Trident where Tully outriders patrol. They moved before dawn. Mist clung like ghosts. Through blackened trees they ghosted, boots muffled. Owl hoots signaled progress. Ned felt Winterfell hunter's calm seep into his blood. His heartbeat slowed to measured knocks. The outer palisade lay half-crumbled. They slipped through a breach. In the yard, half-awake guards shuffled near braziers. Ned waved. Archers loosed. Shafts hollow-thumped into armor gaps. Men toppled silently. Spearmen surged.
Still sang.
A horn blared. Tents erupted. Chaos blossomed red and gold. Ned's men carved a path to the lacquered carriage, doors barred from outside. Hallis smashed the lock. Ned flung doors wide. Inside, not Cersei, but a straw-haired whore gagged and sobbing. A mocking gift. Too late alarm roared behind. Ser Amory Lorch's mailed tide crashed from stables. From the main keep thundered heavier hoofbeats, the mountain himself. Ned barked retreat. Spears reversed, shield wall folded back through the breach. Arrows hissed overhead. A warhammer swatted 2 men into mud. Gregor Clegane astride a massive destrier, armor oiled black. His helm curved like a bull's skull. Ned stayed rear guard, ice whirling in arcs that glimmered frost silver. He parried a mace, severed the wielder's arm, guided Jory through gap. Hallis hauled the girl, but the mountain bore down. Hoof thunder shook broken stones. Ned faced him. Their horses collided shoulder to shoulder. Ned ducked a cleaver the size of a plowshare, slashed ice across Clegane's thigh. Steel scraped plate. Sparks. The mountain roared, backhanded Ned across helm. World spun. Sound rang hollow. Ned's horse bucked. He tumbled, mud embracing like cold river. Clegane raised his blade for the finish. Then an arrow sprouted from his visor's slit. Another thunked into his chest joint. He reared, bellowing. On the ridge above, Arya Stark stood, bow drawn anew. Her father's hunting you. Behind her, A slim shape in rough cloak, Theon Greyjoy grinned savage. Hit him again, Theon shouted. Arrows stung. Clegane wheeled, thundered back. Arya's third shaft pierced his mount's eye. Horse collapsed, crushing rider. Spears jabbed, chaos swallowed. Hallis hauled Ned upright, blood in his beard. How are ya? She sprinted down, panting. I followed. Couldn't let you face lions alone. Ned wanted to scold, but pride strangled anger. He squeezed her shoulder. Theon winked. Robb thought you could use a kraken or two. I sailed ahead. No time for reunion. Lion horns still blasted. They fled east into mist, leaving Harrenhal's curses screaming behind. By dawn they reached the Green Fork, where Tully outriders shielded passage. Arya thanked old gods for water's wide barrier. Ned collapsed in a healer's tent, ribs bruised, head ringing. But Cersei eluded them still. Letters from scouts suggested she rode north, aiming for the twins' Walder Frey's domain. Back in King's Landing, news of Harrenhal's skirmish arrived with bleeding riders. Stannis pored over reports, jaw-taut. Cersei's flight becomes plague, he muttered. Renly seized the moment. An empty city invites revolt. Name me regent while you field armies. I will tame crowds. Stannis glared. Crowds need bread, not pageantry. Yet grain deliveries clogged at docks as Tyrell quartermasters haggled for tariffs. Renly's men fed the city small cakes bearing rose sugar. Small folk cheered green banners louder each day. Varys whispered to Davos. A heart won by sweetmeats forgets grim sermons. Davos passed word to Stannis. Stannis grew harsher, decreeing temple tithes, enforcing strict curfews. Men grumbled. On the city's edge, a new actor arrived. Euron Greyjoy's swift black gallea's silence, sails dark as spilled ink. He claimed to bear a gift for the king, Red P. Rhystis Melisandre of Ass High. Varys's little birds shrieked but could not halt the docking. Stannis granted audience. In the gloom of the throne room, Melisandre walked barefoot, red silks whispering, eyes the hue of heart blood. She knelt, hair flaming in torchlight. King who would be Azor Ahai, she intoned. Night lengthens. A shadow falls from the east. Only a king's son born of smoke and salt can chase darkness. Stannis dismissed all but Davos. Melisandre spoke of Lawloress fires, of dragons stirring in stone, of a comet soon to blaze red across the sky. She saw victory if Stannis adopted the Lord of Light. Davos felt chill. When council reconvened, Stannis announced a new god's favor. Renly scoffed. Pycelle balked. Small folk puzzled, but many feared this red which more than adored Stannis. Ned, recuperating in Tully tents, read the Raven's parchment with dread. Stannis, turning to fire priests, threatened to ignite faith war. He penned back, "Honor lies not in new gods, but in just acts." He sealed with wolf wax. Yet on the battlefield, honor alone faltered. Tywin's main host split. Ser Adam Marbrand surrounded Hayford. Gregor regained footing, and Kevin rode north with Cersei somewhere near. Jaime encircled Riverrun. The realm's veins clogged. Robb Stark crossed the twins armed with Great John Umber, marching south to join his father. Walder Frey took oaths of neutrality but demanded Edmure Tully's daughter in marriage. Deals carved. In Riverrun's war tent, Ned, Robb, and Stannis met at last. The sun towered above, hair like burnt copper, youth's courage blazing. Stannis eyed him, nodded grudging respect. They planned. Robb's north host flanks Jaime. Stannis smashes the siege's western bank. Ned leads Riverlords south across the Red Fork to cut Tywin's supply. The dawn before battle, Ned found Robb praying in the godswood of alder and willow. He watched his son's lips move. When Robb rose, he clasped Ned's hands. "Father," Robb said, "I have missed you, and I you, my boy." Gray in beard touched Ned's voice. "Whatever dawn brings, remember, wolves do not break, nor bend," Robb added. Wind rustled leaves lost golden. They embraced beneath the watchful faces of the old gods, and for one breath father and son were home. Battle of Riverrun broke under storm clouds. Jaime's catapults hurled barrels of pitch. Stannis' galleys answered with scorpion bolts. Robb led wolf banners across fords. The Greyjohn's roar heard miles. Shay of the Blackfish swept out from River Gate with Knights of the Tumblestone. Steel crashed like falling towers. Ned rode ice-bared through swirling melee, carving sigils from shields. He found Jaime near the Red Fork's bend, gold armor tarnished with blood. The Kingslayer smiled thin, saluted. "Lord Stark, how fares the lawful king?"
"Stons," Ned answered.
"Your queen runs." "Queens always run," Jaime quipped, blades flashing. They clashed, dance of steel, sparks showering. Jaime's finesse met Ned's heavier arcs. Rain fell, washing blood to red streams. A direwolf's howl split thunder. Gray wind leaping over corpses to sink fangs into a Lannister's throat. Jaime glanced, moments lapse. Ned disarmed him, ice tip at his throat. "Yield," Ned commanded. Jaime laughed, defeated but unafraid. To a wolf and a stag? Why not? But lions do not kneel. They pace cages. Ned bound him in manterly chain. Across field, Lannister banners folded. The siege shattered. News flew swift. Tywin withdrew toward the Blackwater, hearing of Jaime's capture. Cersei's location unknown. Rumor said she hid at the Twins under Frey protection. Stannis pressed pursuit. Renly, hearing victory, marched north from King's Landing with Tyrell Sparkle, ostensibly to aid but eyes on spoils. Two Baratheon hosts converged. Ned returned Jaime to King's Landing walls as prisoner, crowds jeering. The Iron Throne remained empty still. Stannis delayed his seat until war's end, but small folk hailed him king. Yet beneath cheers lurked fissures. Melisandre preached Lord of Light on street corners. Septons protested her pyres. Renly's knights mocked the queen's courtless king. Tyrell Gold bought singers praising green rose dawn. Varys whispered of Frey Lannister packs, of ironborn sails raiding stony shore. And north of the wall, cold winds howled unseen, white shadows stirring. Rumor carried by one black crow in old Nan's tales. But the realm's eyes fixed on crowns, blind to frost. The story's next span would stretch across 4 moons of siege, river skirmish, riot in King's Landing streets where bread turned to ashes, and in far Winterfell where Bran dreamed of wolves howling over snowblank leopards. It would witness Catelyn's bold ride through Frey territory to broker hostage trade. Her husband for Jaime, her daughters for peace, only to find Lannister knives behind guest rights. It would hear the song of Bitterbridge where Renly and Stannis at last locked eyes across a field carpeted in purple flowers, each brother seeking destiny's reflection in the other's steel visor. When dawn burned those purple petals to pink flame, the wind carried secrets. A red comet blazing overhead, a shadow with a woman's face slipping from tent to tent, a sword alight with ruby glare. But for now, as torches flickered in King's Landing and Ned's daughters rested safe in bed beneath layered quilts, the Lord Protector stood on the balcony of Maegor's Holdfast. He watched distant bonfires ring the camps of Tyrell and Stormlander both, and he whispered a single prayer into the wind. "Give us time enough for mercy." A soft pad of feet sounded. Arya appeared, cloak over nightshirt, bow slung. "Father," she said, "I'm ready to fight if they come." He knelt, kissed her brow. "May you never need to, little wolf, but if you must, fight for those who cannot." Over the bay, waves lapped the pilings with a hush like old stories closing. Stars glinted in the heavens, and somewhere beyond them perhaps the gods convened councils of their own, weighing men's crowns against men's hearts. And the night stretched on, heavy with promise and peril alike, while the realm waited for dawn to choose which brother's shadow would fall longest across Westeros.